Yukon Yeti revealed. The Three Musketeers revealed. Circus Voltaire reimagined announced. And we're at the Texas Pinball Festival.
Hi, my name is Jonathan Houston. I'm the editor of Pinball Magazine, and I'm joined by...
Hi, I'm Martin Abe, and I'm the editor of Pinball News, and Jonathan and I are here to look back at all the exciting events that took place in the pinball world during the month of March 2026, which included all those things we've just spoken about, plus a whole lot more, because it was a very busy month. Not least because we had the Texas Pinball Festival, and a lot of stuff tends to happen in the world of pinball around about that time.
Right. So, one of the biggest surprises and highlights of the show, if I may say so, was a new game revealed by Turner Pinball.
Yeah, we weren't exactly expecting that. There was no advance notice, well, very little advance notice about it, shall I say.
You can talk about that, yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, we're talking about, of course, Yukon Yeti, which is a Dennis Nordman design, Turner Pinball's third release after Ninja Eclipse and Merlin's Arcade. Yep, good one. So Yukon Yeti has a limited release of 500 units. It was being developed at Deep Root Pinball before they shut down. But I think it was also kind of being developed at American Pinball as well, but in a slightly different format.
It was a slightly different playfield.
Yeah, I know. It was meant to be a follow-up to Whitewater when it was there in a game called Wild Water, but that, as you say, that playfield was somewhat different to what ended up.
Somewhat, it was entirely.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, not sure that pictures of that have actually emerged in the public yet, but we've got them. But
we saw it. We played the game.
Yes, well, exactly. But anyway, this is Yukon Yeti, and it was the game that was being developed at Deep Root Pinball before they shut down. Dennis Nordman designed, as we said. It's now been, it was acquired by Turner Pinball as part of the assets from Deep Root that he got. And it's been released with, basically there's a core legendary edition, which comes in at a price of just shy of $10,000 US, $9,999. But there's also a sort of menu of additional items which you can add to it when you order the game, which include things like a topper, an animated topper, a shaker motor, anti-reflective glass, internal arc blaze, enhanced speakers with speaker lighting. You can either buy these all individually as a sort of a la carte selection, or you can buy them all in an all-in package, which saves you $250 if you pick the whole package. Now, at the Texas Pinball Festival, the game was on display in both in the core legendary edition and with all the extras added. So they had two machines there.
Right.
It was officially announced at midday on the Wednesday of the Texas Pinball Festival, the 18th.
Right.
A little, as I said, little notice on that.
Yeah. So I talked to Chris Turner about that at the Texas Pinball Festival. Also because we both headed to Houston first before the Texas Pinball Festival, and we reached out to Chris to see whether we could make a stopover in San Antonio to visit the Turner Pinball Factory on our way. Well, that would be quite a detour, but still on our way to Frisco, Texas. And he told us no, because as he explained at the show, there was basically no time. They were still putting these games together and finishing up so much other stuff and what have you. As always, apparently with Turner Pinball and the Texas show. So that explains why Our request was denied.
Yes, access denied. But yeah, obviously it was. I think it was. According to Chris, it was a sort of touch and goes to get everything ready in time for the show. But
Yes.
to be honest, you wouldn't really know that by looking at the game. Everything looked finished and complete and production ready. I don't think there's anything there that they were trying to get it working when it was on the show floor or issues with it.
I didn't get to see under the playfield, but on under the glass, on the top part of the playfield, that looked very, very neat indeed.
Yeah, I think it looked a very professional presentation. So I think they did very well. If it really was a rush to get it ready for the show,
and even more kudos to them. From what I could see, both games, or actually all four, because there were also two Merlin arcade games.
That's right.
Held up the entire show without any troubles.
Yeah, I did. I mean, I saw at one point where one of the games was had the playfield up, but I think that was more as a demonstration to show what it looked like inside.
Yeah, but it was a Merlin's game, not the Yukon Yeti one.
Oh, I also saw the Yukon Yeti one, but this was early on before the show had started. So maybe that's understandable.
Well, to my knowledge, both games held up great.
Yeah, so a little story there that I said didn't really get much notice of this.
Yes. So we're in a hotel room in the Houston area. And we had visited Barrels of Fun. We'll get into that later on. More to come on that. And I think Martin was very, very tired. And I think he went off to bed close to midnight.
Yeah, it's about midnight, yeah.
Yeah. So, and so did I. And
well, that's because we actually knew we were going to be doing a lot of driving the next day because we were checking out the hotel. We were heading off to Multimorphic, which is about 4-hour drive to get to Multimorphic. We wanted to be there around about midday, and then from there we were driving. When we finished with them, we were driving up to Frisco, which is about another 3.5 to 4-hour drive. So with all that driving, 7.5 hours to 8 hours, I wanted to make sure we got at least a decent sleep before we did that.
Boy, did you.
Yeah, it didn't quite work out like that. As Jonathan said, I went to bed about midnight, and about just after 1:30, I checked my phone. For some reason, I woke up and maybe it buzzed or something, but I looked at it, and so I had an email, and it was from Chris Turner. And it basically said, "Oh, by the way, we're going to be launching our new game at midday tomorrow, or today, as it was. Here's a link to all the assets for your article." And I thought, this is great, because I'm planning to be up about 6 o'clock, and then going to breakfast, because there's 3 of us sharing the room, so it takes a little while for us all to shower and all that stuff. Go to breakfast about 7, check out about 8 o'clock, and by midday we'll probably be at Multimorphic. So not a lot of time to actually write an article. So,
but committed as you are.
Yes, I ought to have been committed. Yes. Well, I thought, okay, well, only one thing for it. Gonna have to work on it now. So, well, almost now. So I decided the first thing to do was have a shower. So I haven't got that to do with first thing in the morning either. And then and get to work on the article. So download all the assets. Thank you for Chris for sending those to me. Greatly appreciated.
So timely, also.
Well, I'm sure. As I say, I think it was a bit rushed. And to his credit, Chris was also up all night, because I was backwards and forwards to him via email about various aspects, asking questions, like who's in the team, all that kind of stuff. So he was up all night as well, getting the games ready and getting the publicity ready and the website, I suppose. Finally got it, the article written and ready for publication at midday, around about 5:15 in the morning. So after which, went to sleep for about 30 minutes, got up, and we hit the road. And so that was not the good night's sleep I was hoping to get, but thankfully,
and I have to say, he still drove in both to Round Rock, where Multimorphic is, and then to Frisco without any power nap or anything.
Yeah, just copious amounts of coffee, and our travelling companion Marcel slapping me around the face every now and again to wake me up. And
right,
but it was an interesting day, but it was a good launch. I think everything went well, and it seemed to be very well received.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, as you said, 2 machines at the Texas Pinball Festival, long lines to play the game, of course.
Yes, and a few people I heard saying like, it looks too much like Whitewater. Well, I think it's supposed to.
Yeah.
It's an unofficial sequel to Whitewater, and but there's more shots in it, and there's a very unique ball lock mech in there as well, which is different than the one in Gottlieb's Wipeout, which has a sort of a belt where the ball is locked on.
Right.
But you might easily make a link to that game, especially with the Whitewater reference. Although this is technically not Whitewater, or it doesn't have to do anything with snow. But
it kind of does. I think, doesn't it? Everything's white and blue, so it's yeah. So it is kind of snowy, but the ball lock mechanism is like a stair climber type mechanism.
Yes,
they shoot the ball in,
which is quite unique. I have to say,
it is. I don't think I've seen
like that.
It reminded me of something. I can't remember exactly what it was, but basically you shoot the ball in the bottom, and it kind of shuffles the ball up one position each time you lock it on the ball until you got all 5 in there. Although you are able to start the multi-ball with fewer than 5 balls locked. I think after certainly 4. I don't know if you could do it with 3, but when you lock a ball, it gives you the option to start the multi-ball now or carry on and lock more balls. And if you don't lock all 5, then it climbs the balls up to the very top, and they get released onto the upper playfield, which is very similar to the upper playfield on Whitewater, except flipped the other way around. So the flipper shoots to the right rather than it shoots to the left.
Right,
and it's still
the Yeti doesn't move.
The Yeti doesn't. The head doesn't rotate on the Yeti. It rotates on the topper Yeti.
Expensive one.
Yeah, but if you do get all 5 balls locked, then the balls don't climb up to the top. They all released at once, and they all come charging down the ramp straight to you, and with a ball saver, of course.
Right. Okay.
And it shouts out Avalanche multi-ball.
Right. So, interestingly, designer of the game, Dennis Nordman, or at least the initial designer of the game, was at the show.
Mm-hmm.
He has been seen at the Turner Pinball stand, but I tried to talk to him about the game, and I got nothing other than, I started working on this at Deep Root, and that's about all he mentioned about it. So it was very difficult to get some information from Dennis on the game. I even tried to get him to record an interview, but didn't seem like he was available, so to speak.
No, he didn't seem to be that keen to be photographed either. Although I did manage to grab a picture for my report on the show. So, which is quite a nice picture of Dennis, to be fair. But there wasn't a Turner Pinball seminar where he was there to talk about the development of the game or anything like that, or the ideas behind it.
Yeah. So, but I also have no idea how involved Dennis has been in the completion of the game, as Turner have done so far. So, and it's also interesting because Turner has worked with different models of their previous games, in the past. And this game was announced as the legendary edition, if I'm not mistaken.
That's
or
right.
What is it? Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I figured, well, okay, 500 limited or legendary editions, that's one. But there could be a different model, and they'll be making more than 500. Chris Turner assured me that's not the case. It's 500, and that's it. No other model, or any. Well, basically no other model. So if you're interested in this game, you have to get it now, or it will be gone.
Right. I'm guessing 500 is more than they've sold of Ninja. Well, certainly more than they sold of Ninja Eclipse. I guess more they sold of Merlin's Arcade as well. So if they hit that, that'll be a new high for them.
Oh, definitely, yes. And I think they hit that already, because I think after the first day of the show, they already sold like 250 games.
Yeah, I'd heard that. I didn't know they sold out completely.
That's not what I heard.
No.
So far. So I'm sticking with at least.
250 is a good number.
250 sold.
Yeah. So
and then days. Sorry, days after the Texas Pinball Festival. Speaking of selling out, Turner Pinball announced that the arcade edition of Merlin's Arcade also sold out, I should say that, which doesn't mean the game is no longer available, because there's apparently still 30 legendary editions available of that game.
Okay. Right.
And there's even more news.
Please tell us.
Apparently last October, Chris Turner bought a piece of land. I'm not exactly sure where, but I'm assuming somewhere in the San Antonio area. And that's an assumption, so don't keep me accountable for that. But where he plans to build a new, larger factory. The plan currently for Yukon Yeti is that the first 100 games will be built in the current factory, and as soon as the new factory is opening up or ready to start production, which should be like early 2027, then the remaining 400 will be built in that new facility.
Right, assuming they sell all 500, yes.
Yes, based on what I've seen from the game, I have no doubt they will.
Yeah, you'd think so. It certainly played well. It seemed very solid, and I did have quite a lot of trouble on the upper playfield making the shots up there, but I think that's just a matter of getting dialed in on that particular layout.
It could also be a matter of age, Martin.
Yeah, well, that's nice, isn't it? I mean, well, reactions are maybe not what they once were, but. Talking about the factory, the current factory, I think at the moment the games are being built at Chris Turner's home. He has a facility there to build them.
Shed, garage, whatever you want to call it.
So whether this is an extension to his own property or secondary property, we don't know. But it's good.
But that new facility is definitely not at his home.
It's not.
Or he should build a house as well and move over there.
Oh, right.
That could also be the case.
Okay. Well, it's good that the company is doing well enough to expand into new premises. So, and I think this is a good go. You have to wonder how many more Deep Root games we're going to see coming out from Turner, and how many are there?
Well, that's interesting that you bring this. That also depends on how many does Chris still own the rights to. Because from what I understood, Chris Turner and Melvin Brouwer have made a deal a while ago regarding the assets of John Popaduic that were in the Zitware storage units. And so there could have been some sort of trade, or I don't know all the details about that, but I know that Melvin was interested in some of the Deep Root stuff in Oh well.
Well, yeah, I mean,
We just have to wait
you
and
obviously wanted
see.
to build a Raza, so
Right,
which was a deep root property by that stage, or at least
right.
certain
So
aspects of it were. Yeah.
right. So there has been an exchange, of which I don't know the details,
Mm, yeah.
between Turner Pinball and Melvin Brouwer. But so it remains to be seen which titles Chris Turner still has the rights to potentially produce in the future,
Yeah, and also
and
how far
if you
developed they
and
were.
whether he wants to.
Yeah, whether those titles were at the stage where they're ready for production, or whether they're just still early development ideas, or were at Deeproot when that company closed down. But we'll have more on them a bit later. But I think that kind of wraps it up for Turner Pinball for this particular pincast. We
Yeah,
can
we've
move
been
on.
talking about it way too long
Yeah,
already. We
we can
should
move
wrap
on
this
to our
right.
second new game.
Yes.
Which unfortunately we didn't actually get to play. But we're talking,
Or see, for
yeah,
that matter.
well, yeah, other than not in the flesh, as it were. No, we're talking, of course, about the Three Musketeers from Hexa Pinball, based
From
in France, of course. They
yes,
launched their new second title after Space Hunt on Friday, the 20th of March.
yes,
It was,
which was announced long before TPF. It
yeah,
was
it
no
was,
surprise that the game would be revealed,
yeah,
and they were planning to reveal the games at least on the same day in both Bordeaux, France, as well as at the Texas Pinball Festival.
yeah. As you,
Well,
well, that was the
that
idea.
didn't work out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, unfortunately for Hexa Pinball, they sent 3 games, I believe, to the US well in advance. I have to add, and for some odd reason, they were held up by customs, only to be released. I think the Thursday or Friday of the show, and then they got in contact with their courier company, and they were basically like, "Well, yeah, well, the games have been released, and they're in a truck somewhere, and there's no way you can get them."
Mm.
And I even believe that 2 of the games were in Memphis, and 1 was in New York. So, unfortunately for them, a reveal of the game without the game actually being present. So they had this booth at the Texas Pinball Festival with space for 3 games. And well, the team was also there. Alexander Mack was there, as well as 2 lovely ladies to assist him on the promotion of the game. And unfortunately, well, they came up with a solution in the form of a TV screen with a video continuously playing of uh, the game,
Mm.
and
Yeah, it's like promo video. Yeah.
yeah, and a little bit of gameplay streaming. And they even managed to get a wood reel
Yes.
game from 1949 called Three Musketeers in there as sort of like, okay, well, at least we got something. But of course, it's not like having the game actually there, which is a pity, but it is what it is.
Yeah,
So,
they
oh well.
couldn't do anything about it in the end. But the game did launch at the Bouillon
Trust me,
Art
they tried
Gallery.
because we've seen them.
Yes, oh, absolutely. They
Yeah,
were desperately on the phone trying to arrange release of the game, trying to arrange transport, trying to get it there, even later, even on Saturday or something like that. But it just wasn't going to happen. But as I say, the game did launch in France as intended. They had a 6 p.m. local time launch at the Bouillon Dart Gallery in Bordeaux for an invited audience there. So it was meant to launch at Texas Pinball Festival at 4 p.m., which is, I think, 10 p.m. French time. So not simultaneous anyway, but it would have been afterwards. But the game will apparently, well, the games have been released now from customs, and they will apparently preview or debut, I should say, at the in the US at the Pinbrew show in Pennsylvania on April the 10th to 12th, and shortly after at the Allentown Pinfest show in April 30th to May the 1st. So there will be an opportunity to play the game there, but whether they're doing not point doing a reveal now, because the details of the game are out there. And those details are that it's available in two versions. There's an unlimited classic edition, which costs €7,890, excluding tax. And there's also an upgraded elegance edition, which costs €10,390, again, excluding tax, VAT, and is limited to just 200 units. The elegance adds a real back glass, as opposed to a translight, anti-reflective playfield glass, glossy cabinet artwork, a shaker motor, gold powder coated armor, and enhanced playfield sculpts. Those prices, I guess, are going to be quite high by the time they get to the US, with shipping and tax added to that, which might make it a bit of a challenge to sell over there. But
right. Also, I'm not quite sure how popular the Three Musketeers are in America. It's maybe more of a European theme.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, there's been cartoons over there about them and movies as well.
Oh yeah, the Charlie Sheen one, I remember.
Oh, do you? Yeah, okay. Well, I haven't seen the gameplay footage yet. I don't know if you have, Jonathan, but
no.
I was all I've seen so far is a video that kind of explains what's on the playfield, but no one actually playing it, which seemed a little odd, because that's one of the things that everybody wants to see is gameplay footage. Because if the game was going to be at the show and was revealed in France, surely people are going to play the game. So couldn't somebody put a camera on it?
Yeah. So, well, there's more odd things about the launch, or at least the promotional material that was available. I have to say, I have to give them kudos for actually having a printed flyer available for the game, as well as some other printed materials, like a production sheet and what have you. But I found it rather odd that the promotional material was mostly talking about all kinds of stuff, like the quality build of the cabinets and how the playfield is clear coated, and which is I get it. It's important, but that's not how you sell a game.
Yeah,
I mean, you're not selling a car by telling that it has 4 wheels and 2 window wipers.
2? Wow.
So I found that because I got a press release up front, and all I wanted to figure out, like, okay, the theme is the Three Musketeers. What's my objective in the game? And I had a hard time figuring that out based on the information that I got from them.
Right. Okay.
So, but still, they did have printed materials, which can't be said for all new games. So they did get that right, although the information was not the information I was expecting.
Okay. Well, the thing is, there are so many bits of documentation with this. There's at least 4. There's a landscape double-sided flyer, and there's a product specification sheet, which actually is probably a little more interesting in terms of what it having a list of what's on the playfield. But it does have a cannon, kind of like the AC/DC one, but it's mounted over the left slingshot.
Yes.
So I guess it kind of loads up like the Star Trek Next Generation one. It just kind of block the view of the in-lane, out-lane area a little bit, but hopefully not too bad. It's got some quite interesting sculpts on the playfield as well. It's got a lift ramp, or a pop-up bash toy in one of the ramps as well. Trying to think.
It's a moving ship target.
Well, there's a swinging target. Yeah, a swinging stand-up target, which is apparently meant to be the English fleet you're trying to defeat. Right. And there's some interesting ball lock mechanisms on the top of some of the buildings as well, which looks quite fun. And anyway, really, it's one of those games that you need to see gameplay. So I would urge Hexa to get some gameplay videos out there as soon as possible, because I think that will really help sell the game, rather than just static pictures, which don't really give you a good feel for how it plays and how it flows. Right. But anyway, so the game launch was a little underwhelming in Texas. You had to feel sorry for the Hexa Pinball team, because they, as you say, they put so much effort into getting the games there, and it just wasn't to be. But hopefully that hasn't dented the game too much, and they'll be able to pick up from that point. And when they show it at Pinbrew and Allentown later this month.
Obviously, we wish them all the best.
Of course.
And, well.
Okay, so let's move on to a third game, which kind of like Three Musketeers wasn't shown, but was announced, and that's from the all-new American Pinball team. They had a impromptu, I think it wasn't scheduled originally, Texas Pinball Festival seminar, where they announced that their first reimagined Bally Williams release would be, as I think we kind of knew anyway, would be Circus Voltaire. And it will be, according to the information given at that seminar, it will be available in two models, a classic and a reimagined. The classic will be a kind of like an updated version of the original game, using more modern parts and electronics and lighting and sound systems and so on. But whereas the reimagined version will have new rules, new display graphics, new artwork, new sounds, and will be limited in number. And once all the reimagined ones are sold, that's it. They move on to the next title, which is good. They said their plan is to have 2 releases a year, to have one original title and one reimagined title.
Right. Okay. Well, technically, this is already 2.
Yeah. Well, true, but it's not an original, I suppose.
Well, yeah.
Well, they had a seminar there. They had Brian, Vincent, Melvin, Brow Williams, Rob Rath, Nate Steen, Ron Lindemann, and Nick Neitzel on the stage. A full team from American. They were there to answer questions about it. All they showed of the reimagined Circus Voltaire was just a little animation of the title, which was started with the old animation from the DMD, and then changed to a full color, full resolution animation of the title. So, as it will be in the reimagined.
Right. So I have to say the team of American Pinball at the show looked, for lack of a better word, I'd say they looked quite energetic and enthusiastic about getting the company on track and getting a mark on the pinball market, so to speak. They look very eager to become successful.
Yeah, it certainly seemed like they had an awful lot of work going on in the background, because along with this announcement, this game had been in development for some time, and will probably be revealed before too much longer. but it was actually in development before Melvin joined them as creative director. So he's had a certain amount of input to it, but not as much as he's going to have in some of the other reimagined titles later on down the line. So they have been working on this for a while, and as we'll see, that's not the only product they've been working on, and they seem to have a lot of enthusiasm and energy to produce not just this title, but a whole slew of other titles they have in their pipeline.
Yes. So, well, and speaking of what they have been working on, they did reveal a new edition of the American Pinball's very first title, Houdini, at the show. And when I say new edition of the game, this is a limited run of the 100th anniversary for Houdini himself.
100th anniversary is his death, I think.
Yeah, well, whatever. Something to celebrate, I suppose.
Well, commemorate, should we say.
And well, the difference between the original Houdini games and this one is that they had Christopher Frenchy create a new art package for this game, which is mostly backglass and cabinet art. So the playfield is unchanged. And that is actually something that Melvin had a hand in, because from what I understand, this was all realized within 2 weeks of the show.
Wow. Okay. Well, I mean,
now obviously they only need a few decals to be applied to games that would be at the show, and some backglasses, of course. But they managed to do that. I don't think any code has been changed as far as I could see.
No, I didn't see anything on the display that said 100th anniversary. It does say it on the back glass, so as you said.
Right. Yeah. So,
but this 100th anniversary edition limited to 100 units, and it kind of brings back all the original 3D sculpts onto the playfield as well. If you remember, towards the end, they started doing the classic version of it, or was it deluxe? I can remember the naming of the different versions of the American pinball games, but they replaced all the 3D sculpts with flat plastics to make it a cheaper version of the game. Well, everything seems to be back on this 100th anniversary version, and it looks all the better for it. I have to say, it looked really nice, and it reminded me of what a classy looking game it was to start with. And but apparently all 100 of these sold out very quickly. Well, say 100, but we'll have a little bit more on that in a moment.
Yes,
all the available ones sold out quickly to distributors.
I have a comment on that, because I was actually talking to Ron Lindemann at the show, and he told me he has 126 resellers or distributors for American Pinball. So basically, he had to disappoint 26.
Got that many resellers?
He said the game was already sold to distributors up front. It was like, although it looked like you had to be quick to get one, you wouldn't be able to get one from American Pinball if you were just a regular home user looking to buy such a game. You have to go to a distributor and find one that actually got one. Well, so the 126, of which only 100 or 99 or maybe 98, we'll get to that in a second, will get a game, and then they still have to have one. So
yeah, I don't know whether they've actually got them yet, whether they built them, or whether they're just on the line.
No, I think it's safe to say, although this is pure speculation, that they were able to build the few that we saw at the show, and I have no idea whether they. I'm sure in the meantime they might have continued to building them, but given that this artwork was already done in such a rush, it surprised me if they would have had the time to build more before the Texas show.
Yeah,
but the game ready for the show, and that's the part that matters the most.
Yeah, I'd also be surprised if they actually had 100 units of each of the sculpts in stock ready to build this game, because that was.
Well, they didn't need to have them in stock now.
No, exactly.
As long as they can get them.
Yeah, but they need them before they can build them. So
yes,
yeah. But we were talking about 100 of these units, and then we were a little reticent about saying it's 100 because if you went to the Texas Pinball Festival and went to the American Pinball stand, there was a QR code that you could scan with your phone or other device, which allowed you to enter into a draw to win one of these Houdini 100th anniversary machines.
Yes, and the rule was you have to be present to win the game.
You also had to be a resident of the US as well. So, although I entered, and I don't know whether you did as well, Jonathan.
I did as well, and they told me, like, if we happen to draw your name, we'll figure something out. So,
yeah. Okay.
So, and interestingly, it is completely not interesting for anybody listening right now. But since I entered that draw, and moments later, I get an email informing me that my flight going out from Dallas back to Europe has been delayed. That sort of told me like, okay, normally I would not be able to attend this draw, but now I can. That's probably an indication that I'm likely to win it.
Well, yeah, it's in the stars. It's yeah, but somehow you didn't
win it or be present.
Well, either, both, as it turned out. Yes, so. Originally, the draw was to take place at the American Pinball stand at midday on Sunday, but then they changed that and moved it to be part of the closing ceremony for the show, which starts at 2 p.m. on Sunday. So it was actually right at the very, very start of that ceremony. They announced the randomly selected winner from a phone, and basically the guy whose name was announced wasn't actually there, but apparently, and I believe he was breaking down games in the main. It wasn't in the audience, and he wasn't available to collect the game straight away. But I was trying to find the rules for the draw, but they've been taken away since it happened. But apparently, the rule said that when the name is called out, you have 15 minutes to announce yourself and collect your prize. Right. Which to me sounds like a very strange way of doing a draw, because who's going to be hanging around for 15 minutes waiting for somebody to turn up or not turn up if they're not there? But anyway, that's not what they did. They waited, a couple of minutes, gave a countdown, and then drew out a second name, and that second name person was there to collect the prize. So they proudly went up and claimed their prize. And just as they did that, the first name, the guy whose first name was called out, ran up to the stage and said, "I'm here," which obviously created a little bit of a situation, because they've just given the game to somebody else. But Brian Vincent,
good sports
Brian Vincent,
as they are at American Pinball,
owner of American Pinball, very generously decided the best solution was to give them both a Houdini 100th anniversary machine. So they ended up giving away two of them rather than just the one. So two lucky winners. So congratulations to the winners, and well done to Brian and the American Pinball team for doing a very generous gesture and doing the right thing and making sure everybody was very happy with the draw. And I think a great bit of publicity for them, even if it did end up costing them a second machine.
Yeah, well, in this case, also a lot of good publicity by doing.
Yeah, goodwill, definitely. Yeah. So that was a little excitement at the Texas Pinball Festival closing ceremony. But we'll come back to that a bit later because we're going to be talking about what else happened at that show. And
right. And well, other manufacturers also present at the show. So I think the Texas Pinball Festival will sort of be like the red line in this episode.
Red line we don't cross, or red line that runs through
the red
everything. Yeah, it's a kind of thread that's going to be we're going to be returning to over and over.
Well, that's sort of what I was hinting at.
Exactly.
Excuse me, I'm not a native English speaker, so I'm.
This time of night, neither am I. Anyway, so let's move on.
Anyway,
move on to another company. One we mentioned earlier about our visit to Texas and the Texas Pinball Festival, and Barrels of Fun, based in Houston, which is where we started our journey. Well, it's where we started our US journey, anyway. And so we visited the factory there on
a second year in a row.
Yeah, on Tuesday before Texas Pinball Festival began, we're fortunate enough to have a tour of the factory and talk about the changes that have taken place since we were there last, and then go and have some lunch with David Van Ness.
Okay, now here's a major announcement. He took us to a Mexican restaurant, and I'm looking at this menu, and I recognize almost nothing because Mexican is not very common. Well, I know tacos. I know. Well, that's a place, I suppose.
Okay.
Burritos. I also know.
Enchiladas.
Turns out, I really like quesadillas.
Yes. Well,
so and fajitas. That's also very very nice. So a completely new culinary world opened up to me.
Well, there you go. It was worth it for that alone.
Nothing pin related. I just figured I'd mention it anyway. So, but no, it was very kind of David to take us around. At the factory, they had both June and Winchester Mystery House on two separate production lines, although they do sort of look a bit like intertwined. It's not like two completely separate production lines, but oh well, that doesn't matter. It's the same facility as they were in last year, although they did expand. And well, depending on how upcoming games will sell, I'm thinking they might end up owning the entire block at some point.
Yes, looks like there's space for them to expand further if they want. But I think that David was saying how they plan to make 5 Winchester Mystery House and 5 Dune machines per day. And also 10 cabinets, because they make their own cabinets as well in the factory. They do their own woodworking.
Yes.
And so those would match up with the 10 playfields that they do. And cabinets, I mean, back boxes as well, of course. Although I think at the time they were a little short of staff and having a difficulty recruiting enough people to actually hit those numbers.
Right. Well, that's actually one of the topics that were discussed and actually came by of what I heard from several pinball manufacturers.
Yes,
the difficulty for them to find assembly staff or production line staff and actually keep them.
That's it.
Because apparently not everybody's that much into pinball, and if you're not into pinball and you're working in a pinball factory, I can understand that if something else comes along that you like better, off you go. Apparently that it's that easy, and that is actually quite an issue for various smaller pinball manufacturers. I have no idea how it is with Stern, but it is something to take into account, that it's not always that easy to find the right people to build these games. No,
you can kind of understand that if you're day in, day out doing the same job, same repetitive work, it's not going to necessarily enthuse you after doing it for a month or 2 months. We're still building the same game, still screwing the same posts into the same places, and
Right.
yeah, and if another opportunity does come along, then yeah, that's and of course that's a big overhead for the company. Whichever company it is, they have to train these people, and that's not necessarily a quick process. And then if they're only there for a short amount of time and then they leave, then you have to start the whole process all over again.
As soon as you find someone new.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, assuming you can find anyone. So yeah, we do feel for them, but they seem to be so. If the output of some of these companies, and not Barrels of Fun in particular, but any of these companies is maybe not as high as they had hoped or had expected. You have to cut them a little slack there. That is one, along with all the other issues that makes making pinball hard. Actually, getting anybody to build them is also can be difficult.
Yeah, and from what I understand, also again from not particularly pointing at one company, apparently this has partly to do with an attitude, problem if you want to call it, of the current youth or younger employees. Yeah. You're almost better off working with elder people, say 30 and up, because these youngsters they have this attitude like, oh, I don't like this, I'm not going to do it, or I'm not coming back for work because I don't like the work anymore. Bye. and you invested all that time to train them, and they apparently feel no obligation whatsoever, or
loyalty, I suppose, to the company.
Yeah, exactly. So
yeah. Well, anyway, while we were there, we did get a chance to play some Winchester Mystery House because, of course, whenever that appears at a pinball show, there's always a long line of people waiting to play it. And
Texas was no different.
It was not, no. But fortunately, they have one set up in the lobby at Barrels of Fun, and so we were there playing it for, well, I don't know, an hour and a half.
Yeah, something like that. I think we got in like 15, 20 games, something like that.
Yeah.
Which means we suck.
Yeah, it does, yeah. Yeah, all that in 30 minutes, yeah. But we enjoyed it, and we really got to hear it as well, which is something you don't get to do so much in at a pinball show. So that was good. And also, Barrels of Fun, well, David Van Ness and Brian Savage did a seminar at Texas Pinball Festival on the growth of the company. Formation, I suppose, first, and then the growth of the company over the past 3 years. Because it's easy to forget that they're still a relatively new company, and yet here they are with their third title and working on a whole slew of future games as well. And we're talking about the how Winchester Mystery House was such an unexpected hit for them when it was intended to be pretty much a filler game, just to keep the line going between June, when June didn't sell so many straight up. It's been a bit of a slow burner, that game, taking time to get traction. So to keep the line going, they got the Winchester Mystery House there from Carl, and we're taken aback.
Actually earlier in development, I have to add. That's also one thing we find out. They were working on Mystery before June.
Ah, okay. I didn't catch that. Okay, good catch there. Yeah, and so that kind of changed their outlook on future titles. And some people are saying, why did you limit it to just 525 units? Because basically they didn't think it was going to be a big seller, and were a bit taken aback when suddenly it sold out.
Yeah, and also, given the limited run of Winchester, resulted in David seeing two different sides of the hobby, or the enthusiast side of the hobby. Because on one hand, you have people asking for more games, but he also received threats from people saying you can't make any more games.
Yes,
because I bought one and I don't want it to be going down in value if you make more. and people can be very threatening, so to speak.
Yeah, yeah. So that's why. Well, it's not why, but because Barrels of Fun are always stick to what they say they're going to do when it comes to numbers. So you won't be seeing any more than those 525 Winchester Mystery House games being produced. There won't be a second run or a different edition of that.
Right. It still would make a great retheme as The Simpsons Treehouse of Horror, but apparently we're not going to see that.
No. Okay. Well, talking of June, so we just were. It's time to start on wheeling out the new code, and June got some new code on the 30th of this month. Well, the month we're talking about anyway, which is March, which added the new voice from the Outer World Wizard mode, along with 2 new side quests and a new option that's been added to allow you to choose to start the game either in day mode or night mode or a random day or night. Plus, there are actually 12 bug fixes in the code as well. So get your latest update to June if you have that game.
Right. And that rounds it up for Barrels of Fun.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
And once again, many thanks for having us come over and giving us a tour and so on. Thank you, Dennis. And we look forward to hopefully welcoming you to the Dutch show later this year.
And also, I should also add a big thank you as well for donating a June playfield for our quiz that we held at the Texas Pinball Festival in the So You Think You Know Pinball free prize quiz. And that was our star prize. And created quite a buzz, I'd have to say, and particularly as it lasted almost until the very end before somebody actually drew that prize out as their random winning ticket. So
yes.
So again, yes, thank you, David, and thank you, Brian.
Yes. So moving over to Stern Pinball, you might have heard of them.
Yeah,
they are the largest pinball manufacturer on the planet currently.
Yes, they've been busy.
So, yes. Their latest game is, of course, Pokemon. And at the Texas Pinball Festival, Stern had quite a delegation present. Their own booth, of course, teaming up with Fun Amusement.
Yes.
As the past couple of years. And from Stern Pinball, Chicago, Daniel Kleiss was there, Jack Danger was there, George Gomez was there.
Jerry Thompson was there.
Jerry Thompson was there.
Mike Vinicore was there.
Mike Vinicore, indeed.
Trying to think who else.
And I'm trying to name it. I put him in the quiz. Michael Grant was also there. Yes, the head of the
Stern
Army. Yes.
Yeah.
So he was there. Also, kindly donated prizes for the So You Think You Know Pinball quiz, as did American Pinball. By the way, they came up with a bunch of goodie bags and some
very
caps,
nice.
Carrying the new logo.
And Turner Pinball, of course, gave us some shirts too. So we should include them too.
Okay, we have to name them all. So
well, of those we covered so far, yes.
Right. So at the Texas Pinball Festival, Stern did a seminar on the making of Pokemon with George Gomez, Jack Danger, Daniel Kleiss, and Jerry Thompson.
Yes, I was.
I have not actually seen it. I was present for only a little bit, but I do believe that there is a Twitch channel.
Well, hang on, you say that because I was looking. It was all on there. What they originally did was they had basically the whole day of the seminars as one long stream. So it'd be like 10 hours, and then you'd find the bit that you wanted. And then I thought, oh, okay, they're going to chop it up later. And there were a few little bits that were chopped up, but they were a bit weird and a bit random. And I thought, well, maybe they'll put them on YouTube. So I had a look on YouTube, and I couldn't see anything of the seminars from this year from the Texas Pinball Festival on their channel. And then I went back to Twitch, and all the videos are gone now. So I guess they're not keeping them, not storing them on there. That was just for the because I know unless you have a subscription to Twitch, you only keep the videos there for like a few days. I don't know how many days, but they don't last that long. So maybe they're all going to end up on YouTube at some point, because if you go to the TexasPinball.com website, you can look at some of the videos from previous years that are on YouTube. So hopefully they will end up being on YouTube eventually, but they're not there at the moment. So they were streamed live at the time. But if you didn't catch them,
somebody remembered to record
well, yes, that's right. Henry pulled them down from Twitch before they all got deleted. But they had good coverage of the seminars there. So I really hope they are made available online as soon as possible.
Right. Okay, so there was this seminar. We have no idea what was being discussed other than it had to do with Pokemon.
Well, I was there. I was there all the way through.
Oh, you were? Oh, right.
Well, almost to the very end. I did have to leave at the very end because I had to go and...
Did you hear anything shocking or that, like, oh my God, I had no idea about this? Or
I think probably the takeaway from their seminar was the sheer amount of planning and work that goes into creating these games, all the initial ideas, all the kind of mood boards, the concepts that make it and those that don't, number of people who are contributing to this, and the sheer volume of documentation that comes out of it. I mean, Pokemon, I think, is probably an extreme example of that, given how much material there is out there for the theme, and the enthusiasm, but fandom by many members of the team who are working on it, who, some of whom who are like uber fans who will pick up on anything that's not accurate. And of course, there's also all the backwards and forwards to the licensors as well for Pokemon, the Pokemon Company, who are very protective of their assets, their intellectual property, and want to make sure absolutely everything is bang on point when it comes to all the look and the behaviour of the game as well. So it was really about the sheer amount of effort and work and ideas and thought that went into the game, and that it's not something which is just sort of thrown together as a quick production. So anyway, that was the gist of it, and I'm sure you will be able to see it for yourself if you missed it.
Right. So, and of course, I think it was the first pinball show where Pokemon was publicly displayed.
Yeah, a few pros have been going out to location in the meantime, but this was the first place. It was at a show, and I think the first place the premiums were available to play.
Right. So quite a few games at the show floor. I think you got to play it as well, did I?
Yeah.
Not together.
No, it was pretty busy. It was kind of annoying in a way, because I was at the fun stand, and they had all these Pokemon games all set up, and I guess George had gone round and done his little adjustment to the orbit lane, which was not on all these games, but is on all the production ones that are now out. And they were all sitting there updating their code. And I thought, I can't play them at the moment, and so I'll wait a moment until they finished updating. I went off and played a relatively quick game of Jaws. Turned around, all the games were up and running, and they all had people on them playing them. And I thought, I'm typical.
So, luckily enough, the Game Exchange of Colorado, in person of JJ, had his regular party at the top floor of the Texas Pinball Festival Hotel, the 14th floor, where he had a Harry Potter and a Pokemon game set up. So I was able to play the game over there.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, we both were. Yeah, but I did get to play on the show floor as well. But that was it was pretty much like once the show was up and running, so you just play one game and then you pass it over to the next person. in line.
Yes.
So, and there was always, even with a whole bunch of machines, there was always somebody, one or two people waiting to play it. So.
Yes. So anyway, it should come as no surprise that Pokemon Limited Edition is currently on the line at Stern Pinball. That will be followed by the premium model, first for location owners, and then premiums that go to home users, and then finally the Pro model.
Interesting. They're prioritizing location owners for the premiums as well. I mean, we know they do that for the pros.
Right.
But so they did a limited batch of Pro models early for location use. But they're also doing that, and then they put the LEs in now, and then the premiums for location, and then the premiums for home, and then back to the pros again.
Right. And speaking of the limited edition, this is one of those limited editions that they regret making only 750 because they really undersold.
Yeah, and people seem to be getting quite agitated about which number they get, because each one comes with its own Pokemon type, because the numbers of the machines relate to the numbers of the Pokemon as well. So then people want certain Pokemons. That means they want certain machine numbers. And I don't know if there's an active market in trading your LE for somebody else's LE, but I suspect if you get one of the more popular Pokemon on your LE, then that would be worth more in future should you come to ever sell it.
Right. So, oh well. And then there is the first aftermarket mod already for Pokemon, although this is quite a standard one, I have to say. It is announced as the Pokemon Card Blaster by Stumbler Pinball. And basically, this is a device that sits in the bill acceptor slots in the coin door, and it automatically dispenses a Pokemon trading card whenever a certain achievement occurs in the game. Like winning an extra ball, but of course this is configurable. And basically it looks like a generic card dispenser that could be applied to any coin door or American coin door, I should say. A motor-driven card dispenser with interchangeable card size options. Professional grade nylon front face, not something home printed. There's all sorts of things, and it should be easy to install, less than 10 minutes, and of course, with a Pokemon game, you can include Pokemon cards. So very smart of Stumbler Pinball to list this immediately on their site as a Pokemon Card Blaster.
Yeah, at the moment, I understand there's you register for interest. It's not actually available yet. Once they get an idea on the number of people who are interested in buying it, then they'll go into production with it.
But the number of people that currently signed up for it are 325.
Well, so yes, register their interest. Whether that all turns into orders, we don't know.
Right.
But it certainly seems like a good idea. But obviously, as you said, it's for an American coin door that has a dollar bill acceptor. European coin doors don't have that. So if you want to have it on a European or non-US coin door, you'd have to replace the coin door. Or mount it elsewhere.
Right. Yes. So.
Right. Any other news from Stern?
Right. And I came across something, a new hire. Usually we don't deal with the personnel stuff, but this one I have found somewhat interesting. Stern Pinball hired Kush Patel, I hope I pronounced that correctly, as a mechanical engineer. And he posted on LinkedIn that he's excited to share that he will be starting a new role as mechanical engineer at Stern Pinball this week, that was a couple of weeks ago. Joining Stern will be a big challenge from my previous roles, which is kind of surprising to me. I mean, why would you hire a mechanical engineer if he did something else, completely different else? You hire something for
didn't used to make burgers,
But I look forward to both the experiences and challenges I'll have during this new chapter in my career. I'm excited to have the opportunity to contribute my efforts to a team that creates such iconic projects. And then he thanks a couple of people that supported him throughout the recruitment process.
Okay, well, congratulations to Stern
So,
and to Kush on his new role as mechanical engineer.
and let's hope he is any good at it.
Yeah, I look forward to seeing him appearing on some of these panels in future, explaining how he built these incredibly intricate mechanical mechanisms that you're going to see on upcoming games.
Yeah, it's also interesting to find out on which team he will be working.
Yeah, assuming they are assigned to teams. Maybe they're not. I don't know on the mechanical engineers. Right. Anyway, what we do have from Stern, of course, is lots of new code. And despite being busy with the launch of Pokemon, they have not been slacking in releasing updates. In fact, we have 5 updates to the code this month. Although one of them is
for 4 games.
Yeah, one of them is a dual update. But we'll talk about that in a minute. So, Walking Dead Remastered gets a new version, 0.9, with which actually adds some new custom speech and speech from the TV series, which also brings in new sound effects and new displays and a couple of bug fixes, of course. John Wick, remember that game? Yeah, that's actually now finally reached version 1.0, with which adds a new The Duel wizard mode, and also changed some the display choreography and add some new displays and of course some bug fixes. So that's now got its wizard mode and should be feature complete, I guess, as they decide to go and enhance it even further. Star Wars Fall of the Empire version 0.93. Only a small update, adds some new expression speaker and cabinet lighting effects, some playfield lighting additions, and a few rule changes and bug fixes. King Kong, the Myth of Terror Island. This is interesting. It adds a new Golden Gary treasure hunt mode, but only if you've got the topper installed, the official Stern Pinball King Kong topper. So it's a topper released in mode. Also has a new T-Rex boss battle, multi-ball, when you complete King Kong spread out the second time. The victory mode that was previously part of available when you completed the T-Rex battle now moves to this new boss battle instead. Treasure perks have been updated, so you can get a lot more wider range of those, and a whole ton of them and achievement awards added. So if you're into collecting those and you thought you had them all, then you haven't, because there's a whole load more to get. And they've also added all the music from the game into the DJ Mixer feature available from the gameplay menu at the start, which is where it allows you to just listen to the music. And then just today, in fact, as we're recording this on April 1st, I don't think it's an April Fool, but it might be, came a new version, 0.96 of King Kong, which made some changes to the additions made in the previous version, including the way that the new Golden Gary topper feature carries over from game to game, and some of the scoring and feature balances of the new T-Rex boss mode and the old battle mode. That's been tweaked as well. So version 0.96 came out today, and that's all our software updates for Stern for the month of March.
Okay, well, thank you for those.
My pleasure.
So, and then I should have announced this earlier. We visited Multimorphic, but we also recorded an interview with Jerry Stellenberg.
We did.
Which will be coming up shortly. But first, let's talk about our visit to the Multimorphic factory.
Yes. Nice to see the team there. They were busy when we were there, loading up games and breaking down games and shuffling games around to take up to Texas Pinball Festival, because they had a big stand there. Pardon me. But in the meantime, they were still building some Portal games and modules. Although the process didn't seem to be as fast as We weren't sort of working flat out, put it that way, while we were there. Although, to be fair, we were also there at lunchtime. So people were away or having a lunch.
Thank you very much for lunch, by the way.
That was a tasty burger, as they say. Yes, so apart from that, where we had a chance to also have a word with Nick Baldridge, who we saw there, who was getting his drained game ready to take to the show, and cleaning it all up from previous, it's part of their showroom as well at normal times, but of course they were taking all the games down and packing them up and loading them into a transporter. But it was good to talk to Jerry and find out various aspects of how the business is doing now they've been going for so long, and also to find out their kind of expected timescale for future games, and for Portal production as well, and the issues that they experience, some of which we've just been talking about when it comes to Barrels of Fun and other manufacturers as well. Now, there's quite a lot of commonality there. They all face the same challenges. But they also did a seminar at Texas Pinball Festival where they got various people involved with the P3 system, and where they all explained how they got involved with it in the first place, what attracted them to the P3 specifically, and also their experiences of owning or developing for the platform. Now, some people were owners, some people developed games. There's quite a mix of people on the platform, and so it was good to hear a range of voices. And of course, it was also not only the previous type of multimorphic seminar we've seen before, where it was going on so much about the sort of added value of P3. Against buying multiple individual games. So it was these are the people who actually develop for it and own it and operate the game. So that was interesting. Hopefully, again, that will be available on YouTube at some point.
Right.
But they also mentioned at that seminar that the next multimorphic title will be another licensed one. But obviously no details of exactly what that is. Clearly the current one, Portal, is a license too.
And no timeline either for when we can expect that.
No, I guess so. Like many of these companies, it'll either be when it's ready, or when they need to keep the line going, and they've fulfilled all the existing Portal orders and built up a stock of modules and complete games.
Right. And it was very good to see that the Portal game, they brought two of those, was still very popular, and had short line all the time during the show. It was never like you could immediately walk up to the game. Now you get in line to play it. So the interest is definitely there.
Yeah, I think between TPF and the Houston Arcade Show, that they're their sort of home shows. So that's where you're going to be with the best chance of getting to play Portal. So I think a lot of shows don't have one. So it's only if a distributor has the game,
right,
that they're able to bring it along. So right. Yeah, that was the best opportunity to play it. Well, so it seems like now would be an excellent time to actually hear from Jerry himself.
Right. Well, then let's find out what's cooking with Jerry Stellenberg.
What's cooking?
Yeah.
So much is cooking.
But in the kitchen this time, rather than in the factory. What's your go-to recipe?
I am a 5-year-old in a 50-year-old body, and I love to eat and cook and make tacos, pizza, and burgers. This is my diet.
Okay.
But I love making homemade pizza. So homemade dough, homemade. Well, you actually do it in the bread machine. So I have a recipe where it's a specific set of ingredients with, flour, sugar, water, yeast, and put it in the bread machine. Wait a couple hours, spread out the dough, I've experimented with a bunch of toppings, but just straight up pizza.
Okay, so what are your favorite toppings?
So I love pepperoni. I like to put green peppers and black olives on it.
And cheese of choice?
Always mozzarella.
Just mozzarella.
I don't even like the mixes. I just want straight up mozzarella.
Right. And as for the tomato base, do you put any seasoning into that? Any basil or oregano or?
So always garlic powder and oregano. Mm-hmm. But I experimented with regular pasta sauces for a while, but the stores have now gotten pretty good pre-made pizza-specific sauces, which already have the flavor and the spices. So.
Right, and what's your cooking method then?
So
oven, what temperature?
Oven at 500 degrees on the pizza stone. So pizza stone gets preheated at 500 degrees. It only takes about 10 or 12 minutes for the pizza to cook.
Okay, and how do you like it? How do you like the appearance of the pizza to be? Do you want is the crust lightly browned or it's very toasty? Or?
Lightly brown, a little bit crispy, but I still like a little bit of softness to the crust. The cheese needs to be melted and gooey.
Stringy, right.
Okay, and do you have a thick bottom or a thin bottom?
It's medium. I don't like cracker pizza, but I also don't like it super duper thick. So medium pizza. I actually like to put the toppings under the cheese. So put the toppings on and cover them up with cheese.
And probably the giveaway then for your current lifestyle. When's the last time you actually made a pizza like this?
Oh, do I have to admit that? So I had a child 3 years ago, and it was before then. Before then.
Okay, well, but the classics don't change.
No, and I still long for it. It used to be a Super Bowl party tradition. I'd have friends and family over for the Super Bowl, and we'd make up a bunch of homemade pizzas and enjoy them.
Okay, well, excellent. Thank you very much. Yeah. Now, while we're here, so what's going on with Multimorphic? You have Portal in production. We just got a tour of the factory. Thank you for that. And photos will be up on the Pinball News website as well as on the pinball-magazine.com website. And so Portal's in production, but that game was already introduced last year.
Correct.
So so it's a successful title for you.
So our process usually is to launch a title, see how much interest there is, and that translates into pre-orders, and then we order parts based on those pre-orders. So we're always about 6 months delayed from launch date to production start.
Right.
So we started production in around September timeframe. We launched it prior to that in March, about a year ago. We've been hot and heavy in production since then. And of course, since we're making a P3, which is a modular machine, some of the customers bought machines with Portal, and other people already have their P3 and are just buying playfield modules, game kits.
Right.
So our playfield production has been churning out playfields constantly for the last, how many months has it been? Since September, 4, 5, 6, 7? 7, we're in month 7 from September, constantly. And some of those playfields go directly to game kit orders, and some of those playfields go into machine kits, or to machines.
Well, you stated in your update newsletters, which you send out regularly, thank you for those, that progress on creating the Portal playfields hasn't been as fast as you originally intended it to be. What's the reason for that? And is that down to manufacturing issues of parts to build the games? Is it down to other delays with supply chain issues, or is it more focused around the factory here?
Yeah, so normally we predict that every project is going to have some number of problems, supply chain problems, or parts come in defective, or whatever that is. We were pretty good about our estimates on the parts. Our normal issue is staffing, is keeping a floor full of assemblers, because I don't know how familiar you are with the production process at most of these factories, but it's kind of a revolving door. People come to work here for a while, and some of them stay forever. Some of our core people have been here for many years, but a lot of times you hire someone, you train them, you bring them up to speed, and then they never talk to you again. They don't show up for work, and you never hear from them or whatever.
They rather flip burgers.
It's a constant thing. We demand, of course, that that they work under certain restrictions and according to certain policies, and then make sure we're building a quality product that meets everyone's expectations. And some people like the environment, and some it's not perfect for. So it's our challenge since day one. We started producing machines in 2017, so almost 9 years, has been staffing. It doesn't matter how much we pay. People are probably listening to this saying, well, you just got to pay more and you'll get better people. That's not the case. We've tried all ends of reasonable pay rates for people, and it all comes down to a person's sense of responsibility and commitment.
That doesn't vary according to their age or employment history then?
It seems
you got like retired or ex-service people?
We recently hired someone who had retired from a technology job. They were bored. They were very wealthy, and they were bored and wanted something to fill their time. They weren't ready to fill that time with a real job, apparently, because we brought them up to speed. They were one of our test engineers because they had a lot of familiarity with technology and they could debug and think through things logically. But it didn't last very long. So keeping people up and trained and making sure that we can roll product out in a consistent schedule is probably the hardest challenge. Strangely, when you think of pinball, you think it's super complicated and there's all these things you got to make work and you got to design cool mechs and you got to figure out supply chain. All that to me is easier than managing
actually building the thing.
A team.
Well, it's not the first time that we hear that, so you're not unique in that sense.
Yeah.
So where are you with Portal Playfield module development, or production, I should say, as far as pre-orders?
So we have shipped all pre-ordered playfields, I believe. I think we're right around the cusp of. I think we shipped the last few out last week. Right now we're building orders that came in since. Okay, when we say pre-orders, I mean day one pre-orders. We've shipped all day one pre-orders. Now throughout the year, people saw the game. They got to experience it at a show or in somebody's house or whatever, and they've since bought in, and we're still working through those orders. Currently, our lead time is about 2 months. So if somebody puts in an order for a game kit or a machine, it's going to be about 2 months before we ship it.
Still pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, with other companies, and I'm not mentioning any names, but you order a game and you're waiting for God knows how long.
So we listen to a lot of different podcasts and things, and there seems to be a perception that we are always very slow and have a lot of delays, and that's not the case. I don't even think it's the case comparatively to other companies. But we always launch, and then we build up a big queue of people who wanted it, and it takes us generally about a year to get through that queue. But after we get to the end of that queue, we're still pushing out new product for new orders pretty quickly.
I would say the reason for that perception is a very laudable one, in that you actually own up to when you have production delays, and you tell your customers, okay, we're having a problem with this. It means it's going to be another month or so. Whereas other companies might tell the distributors, but the distributors don't tell the end buyers. So it's just a rumour mill, and have you not heard it's been delayed? That game's not going to come out for another 3 months. Whereas you're upfront about it, and that openness can be perceived as being more prone to these issues than other companies, even though you're probably less prone to them.
That's an interesting point. It's the curse of being an engineer. I guess. Engineers, we all want to tell you exactly what's going on. Yeah,
isn't it? Yeah.
We can only fix it if we admit what's wrong.
Yeah.
Right. So, given that you have fulfilled the day one orders for Portal, and you just mentioned that once you announce a new game, you need like 6 months to get production going. Obviously, you need to keep the line or the manufacturing line going as well. I don't know how many Portal games you still have to build, but it sounds to me like you should not be that far from announcing a new title.
So I just said we have 2 more months or so. If an order came in today, we'd ship it in about 2 months. That gives you kind of an idea of what the queue is right now. But what you said about wanting to keep the line running, being an implication for when the new game is coming, it doesn't connect. So the P3 is unique, right?
Right.
The P3 is a pinball platform. When we announce a new game, we get a lot of orders, and if we have 0 orders after Portal production finishes, or when we get through the current set of orders, until some future date where we launch the next game, the production floor won't be idle. We'll be building up machines. We'll be building up base machines.
Right, okay.
So if we build up 40, 50, 100, 300 base machines, those will be ready for the launch of the next game. And then when the next game parts come in for the playfield module, we build the modules, slap them into machines that are already built, get them tested and shipped. So our production floor won't sit idle waiting for a game to be launched. They'll be super busy.
Okay, and that's why you differ from a lot of, or any traditional pinball company, basically.
Right.
Okay.
And you'll see on our floor, we don't have a ton of machines in process. We have a table set up with a lot of playfields because some number of our customers already have machines. So it's a very different production environment than a traditional pinball company.
Okay. So any word on when we might get a new title from Multimorphic?
No.
Or a third party, or...
So normally we launch a game right around or before TPF.
Right.
That's what we've done the last 4 titles, I believe. And we did that because the games were ready. Well, the new game's not ready yet. So when it's ready, we'll launch it.
Okay.
That's all I'll say.
Fair enough.
Great. Okay, well, thank you for taking some time on this very busy build-up to the Texas Pinball Festival. We know you've got to transport a whole lot of equipment and games and spares and glasses up there for your stand. So we look forward to seeing you up in Frisco in a day or two's time. And thank you again for taking time out to tell us what's cooking with Jerry Stellenberg. Thank you, Jerry.
Thank you, guys. Drive safely.
So carrying on with Multimorphic in a sense, one of the people working at Multimorphic is, of course, Nick Baldridge, who is for amusement only games company, produced the Drained game and is working on a future game as well, and actually produced other games too, including some mini games. But going back to his Drained game, he has produced a Drained music box ring holder. Yeah, it's a music box. It does, but it also So when you open this wooden music box, it plays 22 seconds of the original composition for the Drained game from Charles Wolfe Music. A very limited number of these available, but apparently there are still a few available right now at the time of this podcast. So if you want to get one of these, or even just have a look at it and see exactly how it works and how attractive it looks, head over to For Amusement Only Games, either on their website or on their Facebook page, which is where you can see it for yourself. Also, Nick mentioned in his latest update that a game that we spoke about before, Steelbound, which is being sort of in production, but not in production, it's in development, I should say. He says it's proceeding very well. He's now in the part of the process where he's knitting together the narrative sequences, squashing software bugs, and adding more mini games to it. So it looks like it's going to be a really in-depth game there. And probably something like we haven't really seen before in any pinball. So we're really looking forward to seeing how that turns out. So when Steelbound is announced, we will obviously bring you details of it here.
Right. So, and of course, still to come, updates on basically any other pinball company that we haven't mentioned yet. Including Jersey Jack Pinball, Pinball Brothers, Pedretti Gaming, Wonderland Amusement, Vector Pinball, Rams, Cardona Pinball, Dutch Pinballs, Chicago Gaming, and the list is long. But let's start with Spooky Pinball.
Yeah, had a very impressive display at Texas Pinball Festival, including an enormous great Beetlejuice character, inflatable Beetlejuice, actually stretched all the way up to the ceiling. And if you've been into the main hall at the convention center in Frisco, you know it's quite a high ceiling there. So
yes.
it was it was something which you could spot from any point in the hall, no matter where you were. And but they also had 19 Beetlejuice games set up at the show. I think it's 19. That's what I counted anyway. And also I checked it on the video just to make sure that I was counting correctly. 17 set up on the floor. Had 6 with the Beetle Snake topper on, 3 back to back, and then the rest were in a long line. Plus they had 17 in there, and there were 2 more in a darkened gazebo called the Beetle Tent. Did you get a chance to play that game in there?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yes, multiple games. I had to get in line, and then I was lucky that there was nobody behind me, so I could play a couple more.
My goodness.
And I have to admit, I'm not familiar that well with the Beetlejuice movie, but I did have fun playing the game, although I had no idea at some point what I was trying to do. But I have to compliment them on. I think this is the sandworm mechanism that's snake within the snake popping out, which is moving perfectly to the beat of the music in certain modes. Very well done, I have to say. It looks very. I'm not sure it's supposed to look funny, but
I think it is meant to look funny. Yes. I think they almost put Stern to shame when some of their animated things like T-Rex and so on. Given the way that the beetle snake thing moves in sort of sandworm, I should say, moves in so many different dimensions. And also lifts up to reveal an underground shot as well with stand-up targets on it.
Yeah, so kudos to the design team and the software department.
And syncing everything up.
To make sure. Yeah, so very, very well done. Even though it's probably not a theme for me. But it doesn't matter because they already sold out.
Unfortunately, they didn't have a seminar at the Texas Pinball Festival about the making of Beetlejuice, which would have been interesting to find out.
Even more unfortunate, I asked them for flyers, and it turns out every game comes with a set of flyers. There's actually 2 different ones, or it should be a 4-page one, but they printed them separately, so 2 on 2, 2, so to speak. So I returned to the booth multiple times asking, did anybody find any flyers? And it turns out that apparently the crew that was setting up the games got them out of the box, and they were like, what the hell do we do with these? Oh, let's trash them.
So you were dumpster diving all weekend, were you, trying to find them?
I was dumpster diving, but I didn't find any flyers. Sorry. No. So,
too bad. I'm sure you'll get some eventually.
Actually, I was able to get them with both pages, so to speak, both
designs. Right, yeah.
So both pieces, so to speak. So that's I guess all the news for Spooky Pinball. For now.
Yep. Okay. Moving on.
Jersey Jack Pinball.
Yes, Jersey Jack did have a seminar, unlike Spooky, at the Texas Pinball Festival, where they had Jack, who just did a very brief introduction, and then passed over to Eric Mounier and mechanical designer Dan Latchik. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Where they talked about the making of the Harry Potter game and all the mechanisms that are involved in that. And we kind of heard them talk about aspects of it before, but there's always new information in these, so that was very interesting. And again, hopefully you'll be able to see that if you didn't catch it live when it does appear on YouTube.
Right, and of course Jersey Jack had a quite a large display, as they always do at the Texas Pinball Show, with of course Harry Potter games, but also elder games like Godfather. Elton John was there, of course. Steve Ritchie was also present.
Was Elton John there? I didn't see an Elton John. I was looking for that.
Oh, maybe I just imagined.
Yeah,
it. I know they had some promotional material.
Oh yes,
for Elton
definitely.
John, so maybe that was.
Yeah, I was looking for that game, but yeah, as you said, it had Guns N' Roses, Godfather. Toy Story, I think, still. Toy Story 4.
Yeah, was also there. Yeah. So, and well, it's always good to see Jack and to see Steve as well. And also Jersey Jack very kindly donated prizes for our So You Think You Know Pinball free prize quiz at the Texas Pinball Festival. In this case, I think they donated or sponsored us with 4 different T-shirts, and which brings me to apparently Jersey Jack Pinball have hired a former merchandise designer for Stern Pinball, who's currently working for Jersey Jack, which resulted in several new T-shirts.
Yes, which they had at the show as well, and are available on their website. Yes, I noticed that.
Yes.
I wonder what prompted that, and that's a good catch.
Right. So yeah, and then there is a little other news for something that we probably will see at some point in the not too distant future. I have to credit Nap Arcade for bringing this to my attention. Sorry. Apparently, Jersey Jack Pinball filed a trademark for Jack in the Box, which is described as a downloadable computer software for interfacing with pinball machine and arcade game machines. Downloadable mobile applications for interfacing with pinball and arcade game machines. Downloadable computer game software. Downloadable computer game software for use on mobile and cellular phones. So
it sounds like their version is entirely connected then.
Yeah, and it's going to be called Jack in the Box.
Okay, sounds like they're not linking up with Hexa then to use the plunger app, or indeed with Scorebit, or we'll go back with them.
Well, it does sound like that, yes.
Okay. Should also mention, as you were talking just now about the generous prizes that Jersey Jack gave us. Of course, we forgot to mention that Spooky Pinball were also very generous in giving us prizes.
Definitely. Oh,
and
my apologies.
Yes, indeed, and also Multimorphic too. Yes. So thank you very much for those, and they are greatly appreciated, and even more so, I suspect, by the people who won them. Those lucky few.
Yes. Well, we had 69 prizes in the quiz, and there was I'm not keeping track, but I think that's a record.
It must be, given the amount of space they took up, and had drafted in extra tables to display them all. It was quite something. But anyway,
and if you're curious, how did that look? All those prizes displayed on these tables. Then I suggest you look at the respected reports that Martin and I both wrote for our respective websites. Martin for pinballnews.com, of course, and I did for pinball-magazine.com with our own reports on the Texas Pinball Festival.
Yeah, and Jonathan's case, he did a full write-up of the trip and our visits to Multimorphic and to Barrels of Fun first. So if you want to see what those factories look like, go to Pinball Magazine, pinball-magazine.com, and you can read Jonathan's sort of diary of the show.
Yeah, and the reason I do a diary is not because it's all about me. Definitely not. But since Martin is already doing such an in-depth review and report of the Texas Pinball Festival, I'm not even trying to compete with that. So I gave it my own twist in the form of this personal diary. And it's always difficult to keep up for my diary with what am I actually doing the entire day, because you run into so many people and you catch up with this guy and that guy and hey, it's nice to see you, and before you know it, half a day is gone and you were like, what am I supposed to be doing anyway in the first place? oh, right, I came down to pick up something.
Yeah.
And before you're there, you talk to 10 different people or, oh, well. So, and then at some point, it's not even possible for me to remember everything.
You're probably best you don't.
Because I'm at some point I'm like, okay, I know I went that way or I went to this and I went to that, but there's 4 hours in between. What did I do in those 4 hours? And I'm completely blank. Like I was everywhere.
Yeah.
But oh well.
Yeah. Not.
To the best of my recollection, I finished the report after coming back home. And it's, like Martin said, available at pinball-magazine.com website.
Yes, and entertaining read it is as well. It doesn't cover everything, thankfully, that we got up to. Some of that is probably best not put into print. Anyway, moving on quickly. Pinball Brothers, based in Sweden, but with a manufacturing in Italy at the Euro Pinball Corp business there with Pedretti. We mentioned last time how Predator sales were going to be ending at...
You're a doggy.
Yeah, good girl. How Predator sales are going to be ending at the end of March, and indeed they did. Yes, so Predator sales have now officially ended. Now, whether that means that you can't buy them from distributors, I don't know. I was going...
No, I can tell you, distributors may have them in stock.
Yeah.
It was their last opportunity for distributors to actually buy a game, and I've been actually tempted to buy a Predator game, but
you haven't yet.
I still haven't played one, so I was too hesitant to actually pull the trigger on that one,
as it were.
No pun intended.
Well, for those who did pull the trigger and do have the game, there's some new code for it, version 1.0. Yes, and sales have ended, and the code is feature complete. The latest update came out on the 29th of March, and that added the final wizard mode called the Final Battle. So to win the final battle, to play the victory multi-ball is the intention. And to qualify for final battle, you have to play through all the missions, assemble the full team, fight your way through the jungle, and get all the special items, and then play the three multi-balls, get to the chopper, camp attack, and jungle blast. And then you will qualify for the final battle wizard mode. Alternatively, if you can't be bothered to do all that, you can go to the game play menu and play the final battle mode all by itself, allowing you to practice it before you actually get to it for real through the game. So it's a special mode that just runs the wizard mode. And this update also, of course, brings in bug fixes and general tweaks and improvements as well. So version 1.0 Predator is now out, and I guess that's the last we'll be bringing you about Predator for a while, unless something unusual happens. But sales have officially ended. Production, I guess, has probably finished, but may be continuing.
Right. So that leaves Pedretti Gaming, or the Euro Pinball
manufacturing
Corp.
partner.
I'd say they're still making Funhouse, of course. And I'm not sure whether they actually already started or even finished that Ligabue game, which was the re-theme of Pinball Brothers' Queen game for the Italian market. I haven't seen any posts about that recently. But you might be wondering what they are working on if it's not those two. So, and of course, rumor has it that there will be a new Belly Williams remake, heavily rumored to be Tales of the Arabian Nights. But nothing has been confirmed yet, and neither Pinball Brothers or Pedretti Gaming were represented at the Texas Pinball Festival so we were not in the position to talk to them or ask them about it.
No, and do wonder whether the remake market has been a bit mixed up by the addition of American Pinball into the mix now.
Well, it certainly will make it more difficult to get. Let's put it differently. I guess the most in-demand titles are probably gone by now.
Yeah, but on the other hand, you've got Chicago Gaming, who may have sort of staked a claim, shall I say, to some certain titles, but don't seem to be in any hurry to actually make them. In which case, is Planetary Pinball going to stick with them, or are they going to say, okay, well, if you're not going to make it, here's another company who will. Have at it.
Right. So, well, I know that Planetary Pinball has not been too content with the pace of Chicago Gaming. But then again, they also have a long history and they put out a quality product. So
they do.
I have no idea how that affects the relationship with between those parties, so to speak. So, of course, I can imagine Chicago Gaming being the first to actually start doing these remakes and setting a trend, if you will. And I'm sure they had options on certain titles, but I'm not sure how long those options are available to them.
Yeah, I suppose it's could also be argued that Dutch Pinball were first to the remake with the Brighter Pinball 2.0 kit.
Right. Yeah.
Although it's obviously only an upgrade kit and still uses the original game, rather than making the entire thing like Chicago Gaming did. Anyway,
yes,
we digress.
Anyway,
which is what we do. So still no announcement on Pedretti and their next remake. So,
no, but we're eagerly awaiting.
We are.
And hopefully we will be able to bring you some news on that in our next episode.
Now, one company which has announced what their next game is going to be, see what I did there, is Wonderland Amusements. Based in, well, the manufacturing is in Hong Kong, in China, I think, but they are based in the US, and they have produced and shipped all their Kickstarter. Alice Goes to Wonderland games. Remember, they're the sort of basically around about $1,000 games, 80% size, playfield and ball. Launched the whole thing on Kickstarter, and then made the game available for sale direct, or but only in the US or North America, I should say.
Yes.
Well, they, as I was saying, have actually announced what their second game is going to be. It's based on the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and it's called World of TMNT: Battle in the Sewer. Yeah, catchy title.
That smells very nasty, I would say.
Yeah, be a big underground.
Smell like the sewer.
Yeah. So they haven't actually shown the full playfield yet. The game's still in development, but it does have green cabinet armor and trim in the versions that we've seen so far. There was a preview of it at the recent WonderCon festival in Anaheim, California, but they only showed the cabinet and back box and had a kind of like a paper over where the playfield would be, showing an idea of what it might look like, although it's not definite. You can get those pictures on Pinside if you go into the boutique pinball manufacturers section.
Right. But in the meantime, of course, a photo of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles playfield has leaked. Maybe on purpose, maybe not. We don't know. Although there's not much I can make.
That's also on Pinside in the same thread, I would say.
Yes. Right. But there is a little bit of news. There's an interview with Peter Gould, who is of Wonderland Amusement, which is available on YouTube. And from that interview, I get that they will be taking pre-orders starting late April. And the first 48 hours, the pricing will be $799. After that, it will be going up by $50 and then 50 more, 100 extra. And their plan is to ship the games before the end of 2026, which seems rather ambitious if you're still designing at this point. And there's also some info on who's designing the game. That's Jerry, the same designer as on Alice Goes to Wonderland. And the artwork, which is already shown, at least in this mock-up that was shown at the
WonderCon.
Yes, exactly, that one, is by Mateus Santolauco, which apparently is one of the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles comic book artists.
Right.
So very authentic artist to be included on the game package, I would say. So that's all to come from Wonderland Amusements, and that's all we have on them so far.
Yeah, I wonder what the pre-order is going to be. Whether it's going to be a full payment up front, or is it be a deposit?
I wonder if will they still be using Kickstarter, or will they try to launch without such a platform? So, although it worked out well for them the first time. So.
Yeah. Okay. Well, as soon as we get any more information on TMNT Battle in the Sewer, we'll bring that to you right here on the Pinball Industry News PINcast. In the meantime, we'll head down to the other side of the world and go to Australia, where we find Hexa Pinball. Now, you may remember they are working on the Lost in Space game called Owen Allen's Lost in Space. And they've been developing that for a while and been teasing various aspects of it. Well, now there is a gameplay video on Hexa Pinball's YouTube channel, and also on their website, vectorpinball.com. We can actually see the game. It looks quite fun, I have to say. Seems to flow pretty well as well. Not overly complicated, but that's kind of what you expect for given the level of the playfield. There don't seem to be any vastly complicated toys on the game.
Also no animations. It's just an alphanumeric.
It is, as all Hexa Pinball games are. It does have an upper playfield, though, and some stand-up targets up there.
Yeah, which it reminds me a little bit of Zakaria games from the early 80s.
Right, I was thinking a bit more about Swords of Fury. And that playfield,
Zakaria came to mind because they used clear plastic playfields as well.
Yeah, and they use light up stand up targets too.
Yeah, so think Pinball Champ, something like that. So although this one has small flippers and Pinball Champ has 3-inch flippers.
Anyway, we'll see more about Lost in Space, or Owen Allen's Lost in Space, as I guess we probably should call it, and we'll bring you details of that when I don't think it's available for sale just yet, but if not, it looks like it won't be long.
Right. So, and it helps if you're in Australia, of course.
Indeed, yeah, that's right. So
now, speaking of Australia, I do have to give out a shout out to. The Australian Pinball Museum, I believe it's called. I ran into one of the people running it, and then, excuse me for not being able to come up with his name right away, but ran into him at the Texas Pinball Festival, and he was kind enough to remember that I am a flyer collector, and he brought me a couple that the Australian Pinball Museum has published themselves, which is very nice, very, very kind of him to do so. There's some very, very cool ones, I have to say, with that you fold open and then an image pops out like this. So yeah, thank you very much for those, and I'll be sending some flyers in return as a thank you.
Very good. Okay.
Yeah. Just popped into my head thinking about
since we're about Australia. Yeah, why not?
You're like, oh, all right, okay, yeah,
right.
Sure. So back to the US where we have Ramps Pinball, and we're still waiting for any news on the finishing of the design of Road Trip and the production of that game. We have not heard any update on that in over a year, but there is an update on Ramps Pinball regardless. As it turns out, they will be manufacturing the Monster Hockey League game, which is a Jake Danzig design, but for the occasion, his company is called Killdozer Homebrew, Killdozer Pinball, I would say. No pricing or details of the games are available yet. The game was at the Texas Pinball Festival, including its featured characters, Antoinette Johnson and I forgot the name of the other girl, who are actually featured in the artwork of the game and so on. And it was a popular game at TPF. There was only one available to be played. But it had a long line of people waiting to play it. So, in fact, I didn't even get to it, for which I apologize because I promised that I would get back, and I was too busy. And by the time I was able to, the line was too long, and oh well, you know how it goes.
Yes, it was, as you say, very popular there after debuting at Pinball Expo and being probably one of the games of the show. There, it was
right, which is kind of odd because this is like a remake of Alvin G's soccer,
AG soccer ball,
or football. What it was called in America. As I recall it, that wasn't a popular game back in the day. Apparently, new code makes all the difference.
New code, much better artwork, lighting effects as well, and yes, it was put out on Facebook and said people want to sign up to a list and express their interest in it. Then if 100 people signed up for it, then they'd seriously consider looking to getting it manufactured, and that 100 target was easily reached very quickly. So yes, they went out looking for a manufacturing partner and seem to have ended up with Bob at Ramps. I mean, I haven't actually made any games at Ramps yet, but I mean, other than the Elf homebrew. But obviously, if they get this into production, it will be the first game, and it's encouraging that many people want to support the game. It's always tough to sell a head-to-head game. Because obviously you need, but firstly you need two people to play it, but also you need the space on each side of it, and probably all around it as well. So it ends up being a bit of a piece by itself. You can't really slot it into a lineup of other machines. But I think the art package and the effects and the lighting really sold it. So good luck to Ramps and Killdozer. Look forward to seeing more of these out in the wild rather than just the one. Then we can hopefully get a chance to play it.
Right. So congrats to Jake Danzig, Killdozer Pinball, and Rams, of course, on their collaboration. Mm-hmm. Moving on, I do have a little bit of news on Cardona Pinball, or I do have a little bit of possible news, I should say. Rumor has it that while Cardona Pinball has been silent for quite some time, a third 2.0 kit could be revealed at the upcoming Pintastic show, and we're talking about an 2.0 kit for another Bally Williams title, following No Good Govers and Black Rose.
That's right.
If you recall. Yeah. So we have no idea which Bally Williams title we're actually talking about, and whether there's any truth to this rumor, but it will definitely be something that we'll be keeping an eye on.
Yeah, it's kind of easy to overlook Cardona Pinball, but yes, they've been in the 2.0 upgrade market for a while as well, alongside basically doing remakes of existing titles. So that's
kits mostly.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, upgrade kits. Not generally affecting the playfield, but the displays and animations and rules and the way the game is run on a PC or a different computer system. So we're saying,
right?
Not that difficult to upgrade. I can say having done a Black Rose, and
right.
I think it was definitely worthwhile for the lucky owner who got that kit.
Right. Okay. And that's all the news I got on Cardona. So let's move on.
Yeah. Well, it's all about no news. Not much coming out of Dutch Pinball either after the events from last month, where we obviously had the new investors announced and the split with Melvin and DPX. So a lot quieter at the moment.
Right. I do know who. I've been told, let's put it like that, who the new owners are.
Investors.
or the new investors are, I should say. Two guys, both made of their money in real estate. They have a passion for pinball and are apparently very supportive of Dutch pinball. I don't think I ever met either one of them before, or maybe I did, but did not pay attention. So, and I don't have their names written down, and even if I did, they wouldn't ring a bell.
No. I heard who they were, and neither of them were familiar to me. I even saw a picture as well. I still don't know who they are.
And, yeah. Oh well, we'll just have to see how that turns out.
Yeah, but one of the fallouts from the split with Dutch Pinball and also the slow pace of manufacturing, with Dutch Pinball exclusive, and the slow pace of manufacturing at Dutch Pinball, the Alice game, is that people were able to cancel their orders at the beginning of the year and eventually get their money refunded if they didn't want to stay in and wait. And quite a few people did do that, which means that there are now a few spots available for Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. If you wanted that game and didn't get in on the initial purchase, it's still possible to buy the game. And CoinTaker had a couple of them at their stand at the Texas Pinball Festival. Give you the opportunity to play the game if you thought you might fancy buying one. So I don't know who else has them for sale, but I think CoinTaker does. So if you're looking for one,
think about CoinTaker is major importer for Dutch pinball into the US market. That's right. So that's probably your go-to point if you're in the US.
Yes.
And interested in getting an Alice Adventure in Wonderland.
Okay. Yeah, that one. Yeah.
Okay. Well, we all.
No, I was going to say you were about to say something. I don't know whether it was that or something else.
No, I was about to say that this all the news that we have for Dutch Pinball and Dutch Pinball exclusive. And next up, we already briefly mentioned Chicago Gaming earlier on. I happened to talk to Kathy Duba and Doug Duba at the Texas Pinball Festival, and Kathy Duba was kind enough to sponsor our quiz, a future edition that is, with a couple of Chicago Gaming T-shirts, which she had available. But at that point, we had already hosted our quiz, and I could not get everybody back to give away those last pieces of merch. So those will be available probably at the Dutch show in November
that's
this
right.
year, where we also do our quiz. I had a lengthy discussion with Kathy Duba and Doug Duba as well, who joined in later. Doug Duba being the owner of the company, and lots of stuff I can't talk about. But what I think I can mention is that they're currently running Medieval Madness, the Merlin edition, and that production run is expected to end in July.
Good Lord.
And after that, Medieval Madness is not very likely to go back in production anytime soon. At least that's what I make from it. So if you're in the market for a Medieval Madness, don't hesitate.
Yeah. Well, after all these years, yes, you actually want one. Yeah.
Well, so and that's all I got. We know that Chicago Gaming is still working with Play Mechanics on a follow-up game for the Pulp Fiction one, not related to Pulp Fiction, rumored to be Halo, which is a video game, and as well, similar to Pulp Fiction, a Mark Ritchie design. But that's all speculation, rumors, and what have you. I can only indicate that those are going around as a fact. Because it could also be that they figure like, hey, we're going to do another run of Monster Bash or Attack from Mars or Cactus Canyon. I don't know. That's not what I discussed with them. So
okay, well, very slow updates coming out of Chicago Gaming. So we can kind of almost expect there to be no news each month. And we'll be surprised when some news does come out. Other companies that also don't have any news this month: Bitronic in Spain, which no surprise there. Homepin also in Taiwan. No news from them. The last post from them was about the Chinese New Year, which was we reported on last month. No news from Pinball Adventures in Canada, which no news for a very long time. And also no news either from Quetzal Pinball, either in Spain, despite them having a new game. We're not seeing it coming out anytime soon.
Right. So, and then there's the other news.
Hey,
section.
Right, yes. So we already mentioned the Texas Pinball Festival many times. What were your thoughts overall about this year's show, Jonathan, and the theming and the who was there and what was on display and the changes that Paul talked about, Paul McKinney talked about in last month's PINcast.
Right. Well, I thought it was definitely a good show to attend. The number of pinball industry veterans or designers and so on attending the show was less than some of the previous years. There were not that many new games as some previous years. I think we had a record of like 7 new games at one show at some point.
Yeah, it was crazy.
But regardless of that, it was still a good show. I'd still, I'll be honest. There have been editions that I would, if I would rate those 9 out of 10, I'd say this was definitely an 8.5 out of 10. So, yeah, I had a good time. It was always good running into the TPF family, so to speak. There's a lot of new volunteers and a lot of volunteers no longer working there, which is a pity, but I guess that's how things go. It would have been nice to see some of the volunteers that were no longer working at the show because of course you well, you're familiar with them, and it's always nice to see them. So, but all in all, I was impressed with the show that they set up. Theme wise, yeah, dragons and pinball. Yes, there have been dragons in various pinball titles. It was the dragon that they chose for this show was not specifically related to any pinball game, but still, it's an angle, and I can appreciate it. So the mechanical moving dragon at the entrance of the show, that looked very cool.
That was quite a marvel. Yes, I think that worked very well. And so everybody wanted to have their picture taken with it or do a video of it. And I did likewise. So if you look at the Pinball News report for the show, you'll be able to see the video, and it's on our YouTube channel as well.
Right.
Yeah, I thought the show overall, the changes worked well. I think the seminar room becoming smaller wasn't an issue. I thought it might be, but the only thing I think was an issue, and which could maybe be changed, was the position of the projector in that room, because the screen was just over on one side. So either they need to have two screens or move it towards the centre, so it's more visible to everybody. But no, I thought it might be too crowded. And apart from the closing ceremony on Sunday, when of course it was very crowded, but they actually took the back wall out for that, so there was more space. That change worked well. I think the floor seemed packed to me. The show floor, there were no sort of dead areas where somebody might have been or didn't turn up or anything like that. I think the number of games, I didn't count them, but according to the organisers, there's going to be about 500 machines, which it didn't seem to be that many, but I suppose overall, once you look at it, there are an awful lot once you bring into account all the vendor ones as well. You know, with Spooky with their 19 Beetlejuice games and all the Pokemon games and all the Jersey Jack games, and it soon starts to add up. And it was as far as new game launches go, I think it was exciting to have Turner Pinball's new game there. It was also exciting to see American Pinball in their new version there, and we talked about the impression that they gave of being a dynamic young team. That was good as well. And I think overall there was an awful lot of positivity there as well.
Swap Meet was fun as well.
Yeah, although I didn't go back later. You went back more towards 7 o'clock, didn't you, when it was official start time? I was there with you at 6 o'clock, which is an hour before it's meant to open, but it's actually when it really does open.
So at 7, we finally got donuts and coffee.
I was kicking myself for not going back for that, but hey, you know, I had other things to do.
So, a few points to notice. The show opened Friday on 4 a.m., but I got the feeling that a lot of people got in anyway, way before that. There was hardly anybody on the lookout, or
no one was checking.
People should be allowed in there. Yeah, nobody was checking that. So
that seemed to be the case throughout the show, pretty much.
Also Saturday night, which is the show closes at like 11:30, and then at midnight there's a vendor and exhibitor only hours for those to play games. Well, we were there as well, but I had a feeling that basically nobody left. It wasn't like they cleared out the hall and you had to re-enter. No, it was. But I had great fun. I have to say, I have to recommend or mention at least the Marco Specialty stand with I think they had like 15 homebrew games, and the Saturday night after midnight party, they had this DJ playing really good selection of music, I have to say. And being a DJ myself, that's a big compliment, because you always judge other DJs, like how many tracks are there, or songs that I would like to play. And there was actually quite a few that I was like, I gotta find this tune. I got, oh, this is a cool tune. I gotta have that one. So, and I really like playing pinball on a disco beat. I can't
Yes,
help
I found that as well. Normally by about 1 o'clock, I'll be flagging and feeling pretty tired after a long day, particularly on a Saturday when we started at 6 o'clock in the morning out in the swap meet. But by 1 o'clock,
Right.
once the music was playing, I felt fully energized and didn't leave until about 1:30, simply because I knew I had to get up and check out the next morning and pack everything. So could have stayed there much longer, but music in the show hall at certain times of the day does seem to work well. It's something which they do at the Houston show in a big way. On in the evenings, they have DJs and they have performers actually on the show floor, blasting music out, and you can't hear the games. Some people like it, some people don't, but it's the nature of the show. It's kind of like a party show, and I think music is something which is being added more and more to the Texas Pinball Festival with the music, the bands, and the performers out on the stage in the lobby area as well, who I thought were excellent this year as well, as well as the dragon, the Chinese dragons as well. That was a nice little diversion too. I don't know if you caught that when they were parading up and down the corridors.
Thankfully, I missed that.
Well, go to the Pinball News report. You can watch a video of it as well. One of the many videos, and of course there's the entire walk through the show video too. If you want to know exactly who was there. Shot that on Sunday morning, so there were a few machines which had gone by then, and one or two vendors had packed up as well. Which not sure whether that's what they're meant to do, but I guess they've come to an agreement. But other than that, everything is there, and also a big shout out to the tournament organisers as well, who put on some great events. The multiple tournaments, both in the tournament room upstairs, which is a separate area, which got pretty warm, I have to say, during the show. And also there's some down on the show floor of the hangar pinball stand, where I think the Media Mavens tournament was held, and also a big shout out to NTX Pinball, who were holding lots of kids tournaments down in the corridor at the far end by where the seminar hall entrance used to be. So I think the other thing, when it comes to, we talk about access to the rooms, I think you can probably say that probably need to be more signage and more access to the seminar room, because there was people didn't seem to know exactly where it was, and at times the doors were closed. And I even got to the point where a seminar was going on and the doors were all closed and all locked, and people couldn't get in. So I ended up finding an entrance all the way around the other side, which we weren't meant to be using, but we got in that way, and then we could go and open the doors for other people to come in. But,
Right.
yeah, so little work to do there, but that's the worst thing that needs to be updated, and I can call it a big success. And congratulations to Paul and the whole team who worked so hard on it.
Yeah. Speaking of Paul, interestingly, well, I have to give a shout out first to Nicolas of Pin Sound, as well as Hexa Pinball. I had a bunch of books, pinball books by Santiago Chufo, stored at Barrels of Fun, and we were able to bring those books actually to the Texas Pinball Festival, and mid-show I talked to Paul about those books, and he offered to add them to the stock of the Texas Pinball Festival merch stand. And after the show, he also will be offering those books at the Texas Pinball Festival web shop.
At the show price?
So probably, yeah. That's what.
Sounds like a very good deal.
And yeah, and I have to give a shout out to Nicholas of PinSound and the Hexa team for offering the book during the show as well at a special show price. So they were able to help sell some, I should say. So thank you very much. And that also reminds me, should probably consider taking PinSound into our monthly update as well, as they come out regularly with new products. Most recently, Pin Vision and Pin Blaster.
Yes. Which one's their new display?
Well, that's a very good one. I have not.
They have a new dot matrix display, which has a unique feature, which Nicholas demonstrated to me, which is that it's actually touch sensitive, or it's motion sensitive, in that you can adjust the brightness of the display by waving your hand in front of it, moving your hand upwards to make it brighter and downwards to dim it. Seemed like a very novel feature.
That's very cool.
Yeah. But what the actual name of that product is, I can't recall at the moment. But yeah, they do have a lot of products there, and they do seem to be getting better as well. The Pin Vision is the speaker illumination, isn't it? Which seems to be able to show graphics as well. And I think some of the animations on there have come on leaps and bounds since it was first released. Anyway. Yeah, probably about wraps it up for our Texas Pinball Festival. I shall not miss having to drive around all the corners in our car very, very carefully to make sure your big pile of books on the back seat didn't topple over and land on top of you. So glad they arrived safely. Anyway, other news. Well, there's just a little bit, just a little catch up, I suppose, on. Our good friend Robert Mueller, Robert Mueller of Deep Root Pinball and Deep Root group of companies, who you may remember is facing a criminal trial for. Well, now he's being charged with wire fraud. That's the current charge. His trial is currently scheduled to begin on the 13th of April, but there is a motion from his defence team to delay it for at least 90 days, saying that the prosecution, the US Justice Department, has changed several aspects of the charges against him, and they will require additional time to file a defence. Some things have changed. As I say, he's now been charged with wire fraud, and only 5 of the original 8 charges against him remain due to the deaths of some of the victims. You may remember people invested their pensions and life savings in Deep Root investment schemes, and some of those are no longer with us, sadly, so their claims have been struck off. The judge has yet to rule on whether this delay is going to be allowed or not, but given the way it's gone in the past, I wouldn't be surprised if it's pushed back at least another 90 days.
Right, so if you wait long enough, then all charges will...
Yeah, all the people will die, and charges will go away. Yeah, it seems to be working so far. Apparently, there was a plea bargain offered, and Robert rejected it, choosing to plead not guilty to all the charges instead. There is a planned hearing on the 6th of April, assuming all this isn't pushed back any further, where he will confirm that he was suitably advised by his attorneys not to accept, or at least given the details of the plea bargain and the consequences of acceptance or not accepting it. So he has to sort of agreed that he was advised, so he can't later claim that he had bad legal advice and he wasn't advised about what the deal would have been. So that should take place in about another 4 days' time after the publication of this. But as I say, it's been pushed back so many times in the past. There's no reason to think it won't be pushed back again this time. Right. Yeah, so that's it for the latest update on the Deeproot saga.
And that also rounds up our episode.
It does indeed.
Of our look back or recap of the pinball industry news for March 2026.
Yeah, and we'll be back at the start of May. Yes, that's right, with our next PINcast, where we look back at all the excitement and events in the pinball industry throughout this month of April. So until then, from me, Martin Ayab of Pinball News.
And me, my name is Jonathan Houston of Pinball Magazine.
We hope you have a truly awesome April and look forward to joining you again at the start of next month for the very next edition of the Pinball Industry News PINcast. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.